Welcome back to the garage renovation project. Today we're going to be painting the garage and continuing on with the process we started quite a few months ago now, where we rendered all the walls. Today I want to run you through more of a DIY friendly process and how to assess a painting job, starting with the 6 P's, which is proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get started on a project like this, starting with preparation. Let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is walk through the project and assess what needs to happen before the painting or preparation even starts. So straight away, I can see we've got a screen on the window here, so the screen's going to have to come off. Power points that are going to need covering so they don't get roller overspray on them. And we've also got some windows that are going to need covering so they also don't get overspray on them. Your eyes are the biggest tool when it comes to projects like this. So looking at simple things like these cracks, we already know we're going to need some gap filler. That's a must. We've got a hole in the ceiling that we want to get rid of, so we already know we're going to need some patching equipment for that. And a big gap around the top ceiling that I'd like to gap so it's all seamless. What else have we got? We got the floor. I'm not so much worried about covering the floor. As you can see, it's been used as a workshop, so I'm not so bothered about any paint drippings or anything getting on the floor. The floor will be getting a covering over the top and 3 doors. So we know they're going to all need sanding and prepping before painting. Now we've been through and assessed what type of preparation the job's going to need. The next part of the process is we're going to need to assess what type of paint is going to suit the substrates. So straight away, over here we already know we got some porous render. So straight away I know that I'm going to need some primer for that. On the right hand side wall here, this is already pre-painted, so I'm comfortable just putting low sheen over that because it's already been primed and had paint on it. But what it will need is a sand at a minimum. And the window frames and the architraves and the doors, they've had water-based gloss over them, so I'm comfortable in giving them a light sand and coating them in semi-gloss, and I'm happy that they will stick because they've already been primed and painted and they're already in a water-based system. If the gloss work wasn't in a water-based system, if it was in a oil-based system, that's when we would have to take measures to then counteract that and use either oil-based primer to then convert it from oil-based gloss into water-based gloss. So now we've got the substrates assessed. We sort of know, all right, we're going to need a primer, we're going to need a low sheen for the walls, and we're going to need a gloss for the trims and doors. That's when we're going to go to our local paint shop, select these items that we're going to need, which I've already done conveniently, and I'll get them up on now and show you what system I've chosen for this job in particular. So for this project, I've decided to go with resin paints. So first of all, we've got the resin lime block for the green render on the right hand side here. We've got the resin Xylon low sheen for all the walls and then for the woodwork and doors, we've got the Lustracryl semi-gloss waterborne enamel. Excuse my cat. So for colour choice, that is always down to personal preference, but in this scenario, I've actually gone with a colour called Porter Collins Wicket. And the reason I decided to choose this colour was because, one, it was a mist tint from the paint shop, so it was quite a bit cheaper. But also I chose the colour because it's earthy, and that's the look that I'm after, is a warmer feel rather than a white. So this is a bit of a sample patch of the Porter Collins Wicket that I've done on the wall. As you can see, it's quite different to the white it's next to, but it's very earthy and very warm. And that colour will be going from ceiling to walls to woodwork in the gloss. I've also done another bit of a test patch over here. Now we've touched base on what we're going to do for preparation and how we assess the job. The paints we're going to use for the different substrates and the different finishes. So now let's get cracking into the actual preparation. We're going to start by pulling off the screens, taping up the PowerPoints, sanding all the woodwork, pole sanding of the FC sheeting along this wall, sanding the doors, basically just everything involved with preparation, patching, all of that. It's really important to get all of this out of the way before you even think about getting a paintbrush out. It's boring, it's monotonous, it's dusty, it's frustrating, but if we do the preparation right, the finish will be that much more superior. So let's get cracking into a bit of preparation, put you on a bit of a time lapse. I've got the DJI Action 5 Pro set up on the tripod here, and we're going to try that out for a bit of time lapse footage. So let's get cracking. From painted surface to pre-finished surface, what I'm going to do is tape along the edges here and then gap nice and tight to then get a nice clean line when it's finished here and here. It's much easier than trying to cut a straight line along something like that that's very raggedy or sharp. Now I've been through and taped up all pre-finished surfaces, getting ready to do some gapping to those pre-finished surfaces. So I've got my gap gun, got a bit of GSA gaps, got my wet rag. Now let's go through and gap around to these pre-finished surfaces and gap up anything else. After going through and doing all the gap filling to all the adjoining surfaces that are required, so nice thick bead in here, nice thick bead all the way around the top. So while I've been waiting for all the gapping to dry, I've actually got out a bit of interior timber filler, and I've just used a small filling blade to go through and just fill some bigger defects in the frames before we get any paint on. So the gaps is drying. This is all drying. So while we wait for all of this stuff to dry, gaps, patches, things like that, I'm always looking for things to do to try to keep the process flowing. And so what I think I'm going to do now is actually drop some plastic all over the windows. So I'll drop plastic this. I can go ahead and start rolling a coat of the resin lime lock sealer along here. I won't be able to do the cutting in just yet because the gaps takes a while to dry, and especially these bigger gaps up the top here, they'll take quite a while to dry. So I'm just going to use quite a fluffy old roller, just 270mm, just a nice tray. That's all we're going to need: roller, tray, sleeve, and a roller pole to suit. So I'll get this tray poured up and I'll put you on a time lapse. So been through now, everything's sealed up, everything's taped up, all the patches have had time to dry. I've been through and sanded them on all the frames. All the gapping's dried nicely. The next port of call is, the way I like to do things, is I like to go through and do all the gloss work first. So then I can gloss all the back edges of the frames, and it's much simpler when you're going through and doing the walls because you can just cut the wall in and the back edge is already glossed. much simpler than doing the gloss after, so that's the way I'm going to do it. And because the ceilings are going the same colour and the products as the walls, I'll just do them all in one. So I've just gone ahead and poured up a pot of the Lustracryl semi-gloss. So put you guys on a time lapse again and show you me going through and glossing all the frames. I'm going to do them twice, so gloss them twice. And then once that's done, we'll get kicking onto the ceilings and the walls. The gloss is now all completed, looking really nice. 2 coats on all of the woodwork around there, skirtings. 1 more coat on the back side of this door, which faces inwards. Done this frame here, but just left that door white for now. See how I change my mind. But this is what I was talking about before. So we do the gloss work first, and the reason being, so we can just slap the gloss onto the back of the frame and onto the wall. We don't really have to worry about trying to cut that little fidgety edge in. Now we're gonna get some wall paint out, which is the same color, but just in a different sheen, which is low sheen. And we can just come along here and cut the wall in nicely and keeping that back edge nice and glossed. Little details that definitely stand out. I'm trying out a bit of a new formula with some time-lapse footage, just with the Action 5 here. Jesus Christ. Good morning, guys. We are back here again for day 2, doing the painting. Yesterday, we got it up to a really good stage. We got it all prepped out, undercoated and first coated. So today we're just going to be going through and putting on the second and final coat. That's a wrap for the painting side of things now in the garage. I'm so stoked with how it came out. I decided to gloss that door into the office as well. So I glossed 2 out of 3 doors. I didn't end up glossing the front door, which I think is a good look. I'll show you that now to how this came out. Let's take a bit of a look. So we got the front door over here, completely just drenched all in one colour. And then we'll come back through here. Into the office and all the way around. It definitely does make it a lot darker, but that's kind of what I was after. I was after a bit of warmth. Really excited to now get some flooring down. Not totally sure what flooring we want yet, but tell me what you think. Is it a bit too much, or do you like the colour drench? Something a bit different. See you guys next time.